In fact, every new comic that goes viral, मुझे ज़रूर पता चलता है और मुझे बहुत बुरा लगता है.
Mumbai, I think infrastructure-wise, somehow we don't have enough comedy clubs. Habitat is the only one that gets broken down and comes back again every few months.
What we would do is like, if there's something that we find controversial, would be like, we'll just say it in the live show, but not put it out online. But now it's like live में भी मत बोलो.
Like if you are already like ready to spend like 600 crores, I spend like 6.5 crores, make a comedy, and like definitely you'll get the money back.
Yeah. I keep thinking if I started now, I would give up in like 6 months or something.
YouTube is a better home for comedy than these streaming platforms.
You know, crime and all is obviously a little like more conducive to like, you know, the streaming.
You need a Mirzapur sitcom.
Yeah. Murder comedy.
Yeah, I think we could do with fewer podcasts. As a person who's been on most podcasts,
I realize I'm asking you this question on a podcast, so that's all.
Yeah.
The streaming show is brought to you by Mubi, your one-stop shop for meaningful cinema from around the globe. You can try Mubi for free for 30 days by visiting mubi.com/thestreamingshow2025.
Welcome to all of you. It is so great to have you on the streaming show.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I really wanted to do this conversation with comedians I really admire, to talk about the live comedy scene, to talk about streaming platforms, break up with stand-up, to talk about the fear of funny on screen and beyond. But let's just start with live comedy. From an outside perspective, it really feels like things are going pretty great. It feels like there are more artists, more voices, more sort of gigs, more venues than ever before. Is that fair to say? I mean, it seems like that from the outside, or... Take that as a resounding yes.
Yes.
I think you're asking the wrong people.
I think, it is. What's the consensus?
I think there's enough voices going viral also, getting, making their place on YouTube and making their own audience also. So yeah, I think definitely way more new comics, way more new comics going. In fact, every new comic that goes viral, मुझे ज़रूर पता चलता है और मुझे बहुत बुरा लगता है उसके बारे में. Each of them, I'm keeping a track on. I'm like, oh, okay, बड़ी नई बातें आ रही हैं तुम्हें करने को.
Is there a but? I feel like there's a but coming.
I feel like infrastructure-wise, we were lagging behind still,
100%.
especially Mumbai.
Yeah.
100%.
I mean, look at the comedy number of comedy clubs and venues Bangalore has now.
Yeah.
I think the comedy scene there is not as big right now. I think the traditional joke is that whoever becomes popular in Bangalore moves to Mumbai. You've seen that with Kanan, Kenny, Biswa, Naveen, Richard, Sumukhi.
Now it's the opposite.
Now I don't know what's happening, but I think all of us usually go to Bangalore to record our stand-up.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going next month to record again. This end of this month, you've recorded in Bangalore. You record in Bangalore because Mumbai, I think infrastructure-wise, somehow we don't have enough comedy clubs. Habitat is the only one that gets broken down and comes back again every few months. And then there are like venues that pop up and go. So I think that is one thing that I feel is...
I have another problem, which is all comedy clubs are in the Western line. And I am not there. So that's
I think that's a you problem.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
A very specific issue.
I would say there's infrastructure and geographical challenges that we have to overcome.
Anirban is a central line anomaly in our circuit. Like, no.
Yes.
Yeah.
How about a club in BKC? Can anybody
For you.
Yeah, just for me.
In fact, we've tried. I think that's the reason. Bombay has had the most number of clubs that have started and failed also.
Yes.
So I think यहाँ पे सबने figure कर लिया. It's probably a loss-making.
It is
It is very
definitely
difficult
a
to
loss
run a
making
comedy
thing.
club,
Yeah,
for
it's-
sure. It is
yeah.
extremely difficult to
yeah.
run a comedy club.
Hate to put this negativity
No,
out
but
there, but it is.
But it's interesting because everyone assumes that, you know, Bombay is the home of comedy, not like,
But I think opportunities are, like venues are pretty limited in that
pretty
sense.
limited. Like, we used to have way more, but it's like the easiest to stop comedy also. Like it's the easiest for like a property owner or someone to come and be like, no, okay, this is not happening anymore. We are moving on.
I was going to ask you this later, but now you've kind of
Oh
brought it
yeah,
up.
I was like, oh, we're getting there already.
No, so like there's always been fear amongst comedians, and rightly so. You know, idiots outrage, and they do it very consistently and very well. But I was talking to a bunch of comics, and they said that over the last sort of year, it's even more. And before, it's not just comics, it's now the venues that are more scared. Somebody told me that the venues are vetting material like a corporate show because, you know, they're scared, which is understandable because of everything that's happened. So is it really that bad? Is it like, you know, are people like, are you feeling a pressure to play it safe even more?
I think we have lost that battle long back
Yeah.
when we have started to self-censor ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now it's obviously escalated after like, you know, the last two controversies.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is that most of us, except Kunal Kamra and a few others, just will not probably like, you know, put out material or even do material on stage. So I guess it's not
Yeah.
looking good, and obviously venues and all come later.
Yeah.
But if you are only not writing, if you are only not thinking,
It doesn't even get to that stage
Yeah.
because your head is,
Yeah, I feel like sometimes if I'll think of a joke, I'll be like, is it worth the pain that it might cause and the kind of issues that it'll come with?
Yeah.
Is it worth doing that joke or like just avoid it? Sometimes I think it's unfortunate, but I think
Yeah.
everybody is self-censoring right now.
Yeah, even when I think of such a joke, I think of Sapan asking me, is it worth it? It's genuine. Like, I really, ever since he said that, it's also what I do with my, it's like, really, you can write a new joke and you can, like, matlab, is it worth it, the
Yeah.
consequence of it? Yeah, it's.
I think venues are also scared for sure.
Yeah.
Venues are scared because again, I think comedy clubs, at least in India, run on a very shoestring budget. I think abroad, if you see the Cellar and even the other comedy clubs, very basic things are very well established there. There's a standard rule where the audience pays, say, a $10 or $20 ticket price, and then they will do 2 drinks minimum. That's the rule abroad. If you go to the US anywhere, 2 drinks minimum. So the venue makes money from the drinks, comedians make money from the ticket sales. The venue is slightly profitable. Here we don't have that model. It's difficult to have it. So venues are really running on a very cut-to-cut budget. Most venues. So even if they get shut down for a week or two, that's a lot of loss for venues. So I know that venues are censoring. I've seen this happen at comedians have performed some joke and the venue owner has been like, you cannot put that up from my venue. And it's kind of both ways, both are right in their own way.
Yeah.
As an artist, you feel like that it's my freedom, but the venue is like, but my venue will shut down. So we've seen that happen a bunch of times. It's a bit of a difficult conversation, but yeah. That's where we are right now.
But somebody told me, I don't know how true this is, but they said there was a weird upside because when there's a massive controversy, like the AIB roast back in the day and everything recently also, it was like, it also weirdly puts comedy on the map and a lot more people pay attention to stand-up.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that true? And isn't that irritating that something really bad has to happen for a lot of an audience to like sort of...
I don't know if I want to be put on the map for that reason. Like, I don't know if like Habitat wants that much limelight for that reason. I mean, does it make sense to be?
Yeah, because it invites all sorts of eyeballs, all sorts of people who, like, otherwise, ideally, if you put up a show, you know that fans will come, either fans of the venue or fans of comedy in general or fans of the artist. But this sort of brings like just curious eyeballs, like ki, idhar ho kya raha hai, matlab, like what are people saying, and most of them maybe, not most of them, some of them may not have the context of how this would work, of how, what we're joking about and what we're serious about on stage. So it sends down the offense threshold considerably.
Like I'll tell you one reference point of this I realized just off late. Like 2-3 years ago, if I would shoot a stand-up video, I would send it to about 10 comedians to take feedback on jokes. Now I still send it to 10 comedians, but it's not even a conversation about if the joke is good or no. Is it problematic? Is there any joke that can put you in trouble? Like we're literally discussing that. Like I sent you also the recent video saying, is this a joke a problem? You just send to people thinking, should I drop this joke? That's the main conversation.
It's no longer about the craft, it's about the side stuff.
Like, I mean, it should be, and I hope it is, but like right now the conversation becomes that, oh, this joke, is it worth it? Should we drop it? Should we beep one word out of it? Should we put a disclaimer? I mean, every video has a disclaimer before that.
I want to do one thing which is like punchline less comedy. where, I want to put out. I have like a lot of stuff which I've
Which you cannot put out.
which I've edited, not even edited, but I have. So I want to put it out and just beep all the punchlines.
Isn't that a TED talk?
But I'll keep the laughter. That's not a tech talk. I'll keep the
Let the
laughter.
In fact,
audience figure it
it's been done already at in a roast video.
Oh yes.
But that's the thing, like in earlier, what we would do is like if there's something that we find controversial, would be like we'll just say it in the live show, but not put it out online. But now it's like live में भी मत बोलो, just avoid it only completely.
Which is sad because I mean, when I've been in an audience in those spaces, you always feel like this is a safe space, you know, for the audience, you know, even when there's nothing being taped. And it's sad that it's come to that level. I remember I was talking to a screenwriter last year who has worked on various excellent shows, and he said that forget censorship, forget the platforms, forget anything. Nothing passes my own. It's like self-censor. Like that is the thing nobody can pass. Which is
the big defeat. One of the reasons I started doing comedy was that I couldn't believe that I can go on stage and say anything. Like the joke and all like came on later, and like, you know, I learned it and understood how to do it. But I was just amazed that, man, I was doing sales. From there to be in a position where you're on stage and in front of people and you can say anything. That time I thought that it was the case. Slowly.
now you miss sales. But Sapan, you talked about you know, how it is in international comedy clubs. I feel like that's a big thing that's opened up over the last 2 years. You have a lot of Indian comics touring the world, which is very, very cool. You know, I feel like those avenues have opened up. So is it as exciting as it looks? Is it putting like Indian comics on the map, or is it a lot of like NRI audiences? Are you just like performing to sober audiences who happen to be in New York?
I think it's both. Most comedians, I think, who are going abroad are performing to NRI audiences, and that's the beauty of being Indians also, that Indians are in every continent, every country possible. I think only a few comedy festivals is where you get a mixed international audience. I think Anirban does Melbourne Festival. He's the management quota from India for Melbourne. Like, a lot of us do Fringe. Like I did Fringe 3 years ago. You've done it. London Soho Theatre. So there's a couple of places now where we're able to kind of bypass that. And I think it's a very good exercise also. Like I did Fringe 3 years ago, and that was the first time I performed to fully international audiences. And that just gave me a lot of confidence that, okay, now I can perform in any room, anywhere in the world. I think that was great. And generally, I think we've all been talking that we feel like Indian comedians generally will do really well abroad. I think it's just that we don't have as much access and the exposure. A lot of comedians, like I think Prashasti is gone right now. Prashasti is a Hindi comedian, but she has turned her show around in English. I think she'll go and she'll do really well because I think we have the rhythm and the punchlines and the cadence and the storytelling. We have that here. I think we just don't have the access, and which is now opening up.
I saw Prashasti's show in Hindi I've seen before, and I saw her like do a trial before the run. It was unbelievable. It was like meeting a new person. She has rewritten it so nicely, and she has figured out a way how to like tell the references to a non like Indian audience.
Which is going to be so fun on a craft level, you know.
Exactly. Because it's not just about the language, right? Language adds personality, it adds emotion, it sort of it brings out you, because that's been your language of communication. I mean, which is why it was crazy to me also. Like, I'm also primarily Hindi. I feel like my persona comes across better in Hindi. And I saw that she's turned it around. It was not, it is possible to do that if you just put your mind to it. But yeah, it's crazy. That's why I think Sapan and Anirban are slightly more international that way, because वो लोग English में बात कर रहे हैं, तो they're able to reach.
Honestly, I had to do.
You are the Priyanka Chopra of comedy.
Nice. Where is my Quantico? But I'll tell you, the problem is not even language. Like, it's also the story that you're taking, or the set that you're performing. Like the show that I took to Fringe was fully Indian. It was a story about being a comedian in India. So even though it was in English, I had to contextualize a lot of things, right? So even Oroja's show was fully like it's in English, but it's about India. So again, she did a lot of, because we were all performing at the same time, you still have to do that context setting. But I think the good thing is those audiences also want your stories. Like I think that's the good space that we are in generally in terms of content and stand-up right now, that people want to see original voices.
Yeah.
So when you're going to the UK to perform, they don't want to see you do jokes about the UK that, oh, I came here, the tube is like this and the currency is like this. They want to hear stories from India, from your life and your perspective. So they're ready to hear that.
Very cool.
I think that's great. But I think it's a very small fraction. I think Melbourne, Fringe, Montreal, a couple of places where there's international.
But these are the festivals.
These are the festivals.
Yeah, the main festivals. I think like I have really discovered a new world of comedy through these festivals.
Yeah.
Like when I first went in 2019, I went with like little nervousness that okay, this is a new thing and I had no idea what to expect. But I remember like I saw some shows which just like changed my full wiring like in my head. I couldn't believe like what these guys are doing. And since then I have used these festivals as a means to like challenge myself that I want to like play. What I really have enjoyed in these last 4 or 5 years is playing to an audience who has no idea who I am and I have no idea who they are. I think I love that the most. So I used to do the road show after the Melbourne Comedy Festival. So you go to like the remotest parts of Australia. There, I am probably the first Indian in that town. Forget about comedian. There is no.
You're representing.
And it's and so there is definitely no Indian, no South Asian, nothing. It's a very like different crowd. Farmers. I remember I went to this one town in Innisfail. It's one of those towns where you have to stay in a motel. Okay, and it's just like stand up on the road. Like how I've read books like people on the road in US and all doing comedy. So it's a bit like that. So I went to this Innisfail town. And the audience was full of veterans and farmers. Okay.
People who know how to kill.
And I remember after the show, I was talking to a farmer, and that farmer was saying that Indians have come here to take our jobs, farming jobs in India. Okay, look at this Singh farm. How have they come here? They was complaining to me.
You'll put it on the WhatsApp group.
So that I really enjoy because then I also want to do something, surprise them and all of that. And in most of my solo shows, I've seen in the last few years that a lot of foreign audiences have come. So a lot of like Asian crowd, a lot of like white people, all kinds basically. I got people from Africa in Soho, and then I asked them that how did you come? They said we just walked in.
But just speaking of stand-up here, because there are so many exciting voices right now from my perspective, and over the last few years there have been different waves, right? There was the original wave, on the internet, there's the comic stand wave, etc. I was wondering today, I don't want to use the word star system, but it feels like there are so many well-known faces, which is amazing for an audience. But if I'm someone on the open mic circuit today, and let's say I'm great, I feel like there used to be a very solid pipeline, right? You win a couple of open mics, you get the 5-minute spot, the 10-minute spot, and work your way up. Is it harder than ever for like the newer voices to like break into the crowd?
I think so.
I think
for sure.
Yeah. It's a horrible time to start.
Yeah, for sure. I keep thinking if I started now, I would give up in like 6 months or something.
Yeah.
It's also, I think Mumbai is even tougher to start. There must be like at least 500 open micers on like WhatsApp groups. Like I met a open micer, he came from a show on Saturday and he said that I was doing stand-up in Goa and Pune. I just moved to Mumbai. And it's so depressing here. I thought I would come to Mumbai and thrive, but in Goa and Pune, I was one of the very few comedians. I would get spots every weekend. Anybody, Rohan Joshi is coming, I'll open for him. Uruj is coming, I'll open for her.
Nice.
But in Bombay, how do I go about it? And I was like, man, I'm sorry, even I have no idea, but it's just
Why? Is that because it's harder to get stage time, fewer venues?
Fewer venues and a lot of people wanting to do spots. And I think it's difficult to break out of that. You would have to be really unique as a voice to break out. Like I don't remember the last time somebody who's come up from like ground up through just the open mic method. Somebody's come through Comic Stand, somebody's come through Instagram Reels, somebody's come through India's Got Latent. Introduced a couple of comedians. But I don't remember the last time I saw somebody who purely came through open mic, and maybe I'm wrong. I've not seen
without going viral on social media.
Without going viral through some or the other format, not the traditional way of.
I mean, there are a few faces, there are a few comics who are like who you start suddenly seeing at spots, at mics and all. And then it's really a matter of like if you are going to the shows where they are also
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
to be able to see them. But yeah, I think it requires more of a platform, like I guess latent and all now.
And are there
to
any
break
platforms
out.
right now like that, like a comic stand or something that's like a talent spot that helps sort of, suppose someone's truly like, if someone was the next Masoom, someone's the next Shreeja, you know, how do they?
But actually, to think about it, like say names like Aditya Gundetti, Siddharth Shetty, these are people who've broken out through their own
personality.
reels, their own like their own sort of like mini sketches on reels, and so it's not necessarily that only these platforms can give you the break.
But it's harder.
In fact,
But
there's so
Siddharth
many
and
people.
Aditya have been at it for a very,
Very
long
long
time,
time,
and they're
for
very
sure,
good. But it's
for
taken them
sure.
so much time to do that. They've been at it.
Yeah.
And I think the one thing is that if somebody starts doing well, the scene is small enough that you find out. You will hear like it. Not as much in Mumbai, but it happens very often that if I'm going to say Hyderabad or Bangalore, I'll need an opening act, but I'll quickly hear the words. Somebody will tell me, like he will tell me, she will tell me that, hey, in this city, this guy is very good.
Nice.
So get him to open for you.
Okay.
So if somebody is doing well, the word spreads fairly quickly.
And these might be voices maybe the audience are not that familiar with, but are known.
Not at all,
That's
because
very cool.
they don't have as much
Audience
online
always
presence.
finds out last.
You are really selling this industry.
And I think I find out second last because it has so happened in the last 2-3 years especially that I have found a lot of comedians when I've just opened YouTube and be like, 5 million views? Who's this person? And then I say, oh my god, this person is so big. Especially if they're not from Mumbai. Like a lot of Delhi comedians I don't have access to, and I probably don't go to the open mic circuit there. But suddenly I'll see on YouTube, this guy has like 7 videos which are all 5 million views, 3 million. I'm like, oh, this person
Does
is
he
big.
need a platform? That comedian sounds like he's set.
Yeah,
he's
he's
good.
selling. Yeah.
I think these panel shows that have started now,
That is also
that is
doing
a
really well.
platform now for a lot of comics, I feel. Yeah.
You mean the podcast?
No, these panel shows
The,
like
the game shows.
the game shows and all that are
So
happening.
everybody like the roast, like latent.
Yeah.
So
Gaurav Kapoor's Lion and
yeah.
all these things. So
Swati Sachdeva is doing
Yeah.
something, and like, there's a
So
lot
you feel
of,
like those guys are actively trying to find interesting voices?
I think that's definitely like a new avenue has opened up which wasn't there
Yeah.
before roast and latent, where it's very like, you know how abroad there are like panel show cultures.
Yeah.
So maybe
Game
that's
shows.
game shows and
yeah.
all. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is a new thing, and I think there are a lot of comics who like, you know, rotate between these things and could be discovered there.
Speaking of that, I wanted to ask you about the podcast thing. If I'm a comedian today, does everyone need to have a podcast? Is there like a pressure to, is that a way to sort of be relevant on YouTube? And I'm saying this as a fan of many of these podcasts. Yeah. Does it become
Name 6.
a bit of like a circle jerk that like there are these like 20 voices people like and everyone's jumping on each other's podcasts? And again, a lot of them are very fun.
Yeah.
But is that a thing where like if I'm a comedian today, like do I have to have a podcast? You have to have a YouTube thing going for you?
I mean, it's also what like sometimes like even your audience is demanding, or like they're like, hey, why don't you start a podcast? We would love to hear more of you. Like, oh, I guess people want to hear more of me. Yeah. I guess I should start a podcast. So it's like you give in to that demand, but like, yeah, I think we could do with fewer podcasts. As a person who's been on most podcasts,
I realize I'm asking you this question on a podcast, so that's all. Like, as in, is there a pressure that does everyone feel like they need to come up with an IP or a format or something?
I think the thing is, stand-up videos take a lot of time to develop, right? I think all of us perform, when we write something, it takes us like maybe at least 6 months to just fine-tune it. Yeah. And then you want to tour with it, then you record it, you don't get it right in one go. If you're like me, you record it 10 times and you get it right. So like the process of the final output of one stand-up clip is so long. And the culture that we're living in is the content consumption culture. So you can't just put out 2 or 3 clips. I mean, you can if you want to. If your videos are doing really well, you can be like an Abhishek Upmanyu who will come once a year, drop a banger video and just vanish.
But
or a Kanan Gill.
He can afford to because he's at that
He can
level.
afford to. I think, but I think a lot of times you have to figure out some other content pieces also. But maybe not a podcast, but I think some fun formats. I think even abroad, comedians do something or the other. Like every comedian you see abroad is doing, if not a podcast, some kind of a game show or something or the other. So I think we're all in that space right now, people are experimenting. I think till 2 years ago, it was only podcasts. I think last 1 year, it has been a lot of these game show formats, as you mentioned, whether it's Rose, whether it's Lie Hard, whether it's, I think Rahul Dua just announced he's starting something new right now. So I think Ronak's relationship has really taken off.
That's really fun.
So I think it's about finding the right format that fits your personality. But I think everybody should not do podcasts.
But
it's the same people performing and the same people listening.
I think people should do podcasts, but they should have another skill in real life. Like so like comedians doing podcasts, I get it because they can do comedy also. People who are only podcasters, like see your review. I know
the
you.
The day comedians made me cry.
No, sorry. No, you are a critic. I know you from before. Okay, so you are allowed. But just that is a bit of a problem. Like
no, I get it. But I was just curious to know because like suppose someone's a really, really great voice and they're like, look, I think I'm a good writer. It's me and that blank Google Doc and I think I can write great stand-up. I'm getting stage time. But you know how like a lot of actors, there is a pressure of social media. Today, if I'm an aspiring comic, do I have to figure out how to be a YouTube manager and have a digital content pipeline and Instagram and like, and isn't that exhausting? Does it not take away from the craft sometimes? Like,
yeah.
Do you ever feel like I have to do all of these things and rather than the thing I really wanted to do?
I think if you're really lucky, you can do that. As in, if you really manage to. I think very few comedians have managed to do that. Just pure stand-up. Put out. I think Kanan is one of them again. You can count on very few people.
But especially recently, you definitely can't do that.
Yeah,
you have to develop IPs.
It seems very tough because now if a comedian is coming into the scene and he's seeing what's going on, what is like his aspirations. And then now the algorithm has such a big role, which is so random. So it's not a very fair chance, it feels, because earlier it was like much lesser people were in it. Internet, like there was no pressure to put out a video for years, and nobody even thought about it. But I'm sure a comedian who's like coming in now is already thinking of a video because like you know the market is such. So that
so
must be
think about the algorithm more than the art form.
It seems like we are going that way.
For sure.
Which I understand the pressure. It's really sad. Like you know, you hope that like
it's also the opposite. Like there's a lot of comedians who put out videos that do really well, but it does not translate to ticket sales necessarily because internet is almost free now. So people can sit home and just scroll through your reels, and your reels can get 20 million views. But you'll still have 30 people at the show. So I think it's not just about putting content. They have to either like your personality, like your voice, something. So I think it's also, I think everybody's trying to figure out what sticks with the audience, right? So for some people it's short form reels, for some people it's sketches, for some people it's podcasts. For somebody like Varun Grover, it's his writing and that kind of following that he brings into it. I think everybody has to just figure out.
He has an irritating amount of talent, so he doesn't count.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's not count.
Fair point. But I think I think all comedians are trying to figure out what Gen Zs call a side hustle, that kind of.
But
like,
that's the issue, no? If you came in to do comedy, it's so that you don't have to work.
Spoken like a true Bengali.
I feel like you're going through something right now. Are you reconsidering comedy?
See, that's what I'm saying. If you were a comedian like this in say New York or Australia, you could be what they call a club comic, where you just do club shows. You just do a weekend in Melbourne, then a weekend in Sydney, and this thing, and you will get a bare minimum club performance fee. You will sustain and you can do that. And a lot of UK comics who we see at the Fringe and all also are essentially club comics who just tour the UK every year, then they'll come to the Fringe and do that. That culture is not here because the comedy clubs are not making money from ticket sales as much. I don't think so. I don't think any comedian can just survive on doing these 30-minute shows for 50 or 100 people. Ultimately, you have to figure out something to break through.
Most clubs don't pay only, like
most clubs don't pay also
for spots and also that model too is not there. So people have to really work hard, I think.
Like this is, I guess, the Indian version of a club comic that you just build your own audience and put up your own shows to earn from those. Because it's also basically all of these side things that are basically just try to get an audience's curiosity about you going like, okay, this has not worked, let me try some other way or some other format to capture their attention, make them go like, okay, I want more of this, I want to know more about this person, whether it's through a character on a reel or it's through like a long form podcast. Like Ronak is a great example, like which is that his relationship advice just has opened up a new audience together. Like it which is separate from his stand-up audience. Like it goes to usually it's the other way around. Like the stand-up audience funnels into, some of them will come to your podcast.
Yeah.
But uska wo ulta ho gaya, and which is great. I mean, ultimately you're trying to reach your audience.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's thinking about it like business first rather than funny first, I guess. Yeah.
Speaking of different formats, I wanted to ask you about the streaming landscape and how, like, you know, that honeymoon period is clearly over. The era of everyone gets a stand-up special is clearly not the case. And both of you have stand-up specials. You came in later, but no. Is it just a blanket?
She has one. She has one.
For 15 minutes.
From her home.
Not even my home. There's a COVID one.
Even I have that. From an Airbnb in Bandra.
From an Airbnb in Bandra.
You don't have a COVID special.
No.
But is it like a clear mandate from the platforms? They're just not interested in specials anymore, unless you're Vedas.
I think so. I don't know what the thing is.
Is it just like a fear of funny? Is it the whole?
I think this is something that it's not my words. I think one of my managers told me this, that when the OTT platforms launched in India, I think 2015-16 sometime, I think stand-up was the quickest turnaround time also. They would commission a movie, it would take 2 years, 3 years to get made. Stand-up was very quick for them, right? The turnaround time. They'd be like, oh, Sapan is touring right now. Can he tape in 3 months? Can we release in the 4th month? We can. So I think they also kind of went in trying to just acquire database and following. So in that time, they blindly were like, here's 20 specials. Everybody gets it. So I think the first 2-3 years, they were also trying to acquire audiences. That's what I was told. And I think after a point, they got the audiences, and the Sacred Games and the Mirzapur started doing their work. So I think...
So they don't feel like there are any more significant audiences by doing more stand-up specials?
Possibly, I think so. And the other theory I've heard is that, for example, Netflix has done a thing where they're like, okay, we have, who's the biggest Hindi comedian? Kapil Sharma. Who's the biggest English comedian? Veer Das. We have both. We don't need anybody else. But I think that restricts it a bit. I think I was telling you before, I think with platforms, I feel like there has to be somebody inside who genuinely likes comedy, who's passionate about it.
Gets it.
Like I think Aparna and Manish at Amazon were those people who genuinely enjoyed comedy and they got it. So they were willing to give it a chance. Like this person called Gauri and Tommy were people at Amazon who greenlit one mic stand that time, which was very difficult to make that time because nobody else believed in the format, but they saw something in it and they were able to.
But like I told you, it's an excellent format. I mean,
I wish they do more of it. Yeah, I really wish. Yeah. So.
But I was going to ask you.
उसका तो बना भी कहीं और
Germany में बना
है.
Germany में बनाता है.
So once they're remaking this, you're not remaking. That's like a big success story.
That's a big thing.
Yeah. So I hope that I don't know what have you guys heard about.
I've always. There was like a one small 15-minute thing that we also did 4 comics doing 15 minutes on Prime, and then post that just felt like YouTube is a better home for comedy than these streaming platforms, because on streaming platforms you're competing with so much bigger content. I'm just speaking in terms of as a comic that you're if there's like a million movies and whatnot, there's very little possibility that a person will click on a stand-up clip to watch it. Which is why like I feel like it belongs better on YouTube, and that's where stand-up's discoverability is.
Yeah, I think
best.
YouTube has the best discoverability for sure.
100%.
For sure.
So if you guys, if you guys are working towards a new special, because nowadays everyone's doing it on YouTube, right? Like everyone, Karan did it, Azim did it.
Yeah. I think it's like that breakup girlfriend boyfriend situation where first like, oh, you didn't want me, now I don't want you. It's like that now. It's like that. I think all comedians have kind of understood that YouTube, having your own YouTube channel, that distribution, you control that, you can see the number of audiences who are coming in. Also, I think putting out a special on an OTT platform means giving away 60-70 minutes of content in one go. Because on YouTube, you can phase it out. You can upload a 10-15 minute clip now, then again 2-3 months later. So you can also kind of...
Also, like if you had a new special, you might actually release it over time. You wouldn't put it out in one.
Yeah. It depends on the special. If it's a special, like a story, like a 1 hour story.
Work separately, then you have to put it together. But you can like just chop it and like make
like
it.
your Amazon special was one of my favorites. That's you couldn't put that out.
I think that reminds me that there is a lot of other issues, like censorship is again an issue, because earlier on they wouldn't bother, and they would trust the comic. But later on, I heard some stories that they wanted the script, and it's very tough to give you the exact script in stand-up because so many things happen on stage. And I think economically also, like a lot of the comics that they wanted have like outgrown them. So like there is no reason for them like
they can just go to YouTube.
Yeah, I don't think like the kind of monies they are offering is enough.
Which is great to have that sort of
because 60 minutes or 70 minutes of material is a lot of, it can open up a lot of work for you if you have control over how you put it out. Once it goes on a streaming platform, you're completely dependent on them to promote it, to get it to get eyeballs on it.
Does it stay on the homepage banner or no? You don't know. Like a lot of specials have just released and gone also. So I think
it's like they own the IP of it, and I think that also sort of is in conflict with stand-up as an art form. Like, I mean, I don't have much knowledge about this, but just in terms of like I'm building this whole thing myself, and it's primarily because I can't work with anyone else. मुझे अपने अकेले पर spotlight चाहिए और मैं जैसे चाहूँ वैसे चाहिए ये, and उसमें like streaming platform comes with a huge mind of its own, where it's like, hey, listen to me, this is how we should be cutting this down, this is how we should be working on this. So
then it won't be your voice anymore.
And plus I think streaming platforms इस वक्त थोड़ा almost GEC जितने ही उस पे वो आ गए rules where you can't even name cities and states.
Streaming is the new TV.
The future of streaming is just TV.
The TV show.
I'll rename it next time. Call it Star Plus. But then so that's the special and the non-fiction space. But what about fiction? Because it feels like a lot more comics are looking at screenwriting. You know, you have 2 shows of Source on Amazon. It's one of the most interesting shows to come out of streaming, and obviously Rajavana is one of the finest shows of the last few years. Sapan, you wrote the dialogue for Friday Night Plan and Khogayam Kaha as well. So, is that a new love affair that a lot more comics are looking at screenwriting? Because I imagine it's a very different muscle.
I don't think comedians are looking at screenwriting. I think fiction is a very personal passion project. I think if you're passionate about it, only then you can do it, because it's very time consuming and the payoff is not worth it. Like in terms of money and all, I don't think you get paid. Nobody's getting paid. So I think if only people who are, like, I've always wanted to make films and write films since before doing stand-up also. So I'm willing to give it that much time because I genuinely enjoy it. But I don't think too many stand-up comedians are going towards fiction. I think one space that we missed out, I was going to say it earlier, when we were talking about open micers coming up, I think till pre-COVID, a lot of comedians used to be in the writers' rooms, right? So they would work with AIB, they would work with EIC, a lot of comedians used to work on Son of a Beach, a lot of comedians have worked on One Mic Stand. And
you worked on Son of a Beach, right?
I worked on Son of a Beach.
You worked on Son of a Beach. Lot of comedians have worked on these shows, right? So the thing is, one, you learn a lot from each other and you kind of come up from that also, at least in the scene. You learn, oh, this guy is writing for me, he's very good. So I think that has also kind of vanished. But I think non-fiction writing pays a lot better than fiction writing, because the turnaround time is quicker. Even right now, there are a couple of comedians who write, but they will write an award show script.
That award show thing is still going on?
It's still going on. And now it's brand work, you know, brands are doing a lot of YouTube content and also a lot of comedians are writing that because that's very specific time bound thing that, okay, we have an ad shoot in 20 days. Here's whatever, 50,000 rupees. There's an award show coming in 2 months, here's this money. But fiction, you know how it is. Sometimes it gets greenlit, it gets not greenlit. Films take 2 years to develop. So I don't think it's a very monetarily a good deal. I think it's more of a personal passion thing. I don't know.
I am trying.
Brother, if you're both trying.
I'm really trying. But it's really tough.
It's really hard.
But I am enjoying it. It's a bit of a break from stand-up for me. So I got a lot of stuff. One of it is named after her, Shreeja. But just the name, just the name.
It's going to be something very dark.
It is a very fantasy adventure horror.
Hey, that's not special.
That's 3 words that describe Shreeja perfectly.
But it's at different, like a lot of stuff, like, you know, at different stages of development. And
are they all in the comedy space or different genres?
It's all comedy. Like the second word is always comedy. The first.
Yeah, because that's what I heard. You can't just pitch straight comedy, right? It has to be comedy plus horror comedy, romantic comedy, whatever. So
Sitcom. I'm trying to make a sitcom. Then there is a divorce comedy. Then there's this thing. So it's like this is what happens with me. That I work on something, then I pitch and all, and nothing really moves. Then I forget about it, and then do maybe stand up, then do another show, write for a show, something like that. Then like after some time, I'll get renewed interest. Because one idea will come or one dialogue. It could be as simple as that, and then I'll again go back and again start the whole thing. Maybe progress a little bit. So it's like it's a long drawn process, I really want to
But how difficult is that? Because firstly, we were talking about do execs even understand that? Because you have to be like, no, I know funny. That's my job. And because there does seem, even on the fiction side, there seems to be a massive fear of funny. In the first wave of streaming, there's some great examples. Pushpavali's excellent, Better Life Foundation. There was some really interesting risk-taking documentaries, sitcoms, things like that. But there's very few of them now.
It is. I think even if the executives understand it, they have to there was so much justification to do. It's eventually a corporate decision, a business decision. That's something that I've heard often, that it's a business call. So then what do you say? Okay, booking Uber.
What's the craziest sort of conversation or feedback that you guys have ever got when pitching something fiction-wise to someone who just maybe doesn't get comedy?
My friend pitched a divorce comedy to an actor who had just gotten divorced. So he got really mad. He was like, what is this? What is this? Are you serious?
He's in the drama phase still. The comedy is not started.
Probably not the right timing. But that just I remember that.
But execs wise, there's never a moment where like this person clearly is not on the same wavelength as I am.
No, it always happens that they laugh. For an hour they laugh, and then 1 month later they say no. Okay, so
is it a genuine laugh or like it's a forced? Like they know, they get it. They get the.
I think so, because abhi laughter when you're narrating, it's like involuntary. I think you have to it's actually tough to get any reaction, because a lot of executives, they just don't even look at you. They just at this, and you're thinking ki, am I just talking to myself? Is he even listening?
Is he awake?
But at the end, he'll point out 5 things. So he was listening.
Okay.
So it's already tough to get reactions out, and because of comedy in my scripts, the goal is to get something out from the whoever, a team who's hearing. So it happens a lot of the times, but then there are so many other factors, starting with whether crime and all is obviously a little more conducive to the streaming.
You need a Mirzapur sitcom.
Murder comedy.
You do.
That'd be great.
Like a mockumentary.
Cast Pankaj Tripathi. He's great at comedy.
Mirzapur sitcom, I think, yes, possible.
Like a gangster who can't get his shit together.
I've been trying to pitch one sitcom since 2017 or 18, and whoever's read it, they're like, मुझे बहुत पसंद है, but I don't think किसी को पसंद आएगा. Like everybody's like, I really like it, but I don't know. But I'm like, but if you like it,
but they're scared for their jobs or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think sitcom also generally. I think comedy is the same thing. Like a crime show has that. A lot of feedback I've gotten is need a solid cliffhanger, but it's a sitcom. How can you have a death or a murder or an accident at the end of every episode? It's a sitcom. But that doesn't I've asked this question to a lot of screenwriters, that why does sitcom not work in India? And they were like, because sitcom is a thing of American television, apparently. I mean, which makes sense, like Friends and even Schitt's Creek, they all came on TV and they did well, and then they got acquired by Netflix and all of these things, and they did well. So apparently, I don't know, that's what I've heard for sitcoms. That
I think we haven't made a bingeable sitcom.
Yeah,
because I would definitely go back and watch all the old sitcoms, just binge through it. Despite having so many new movies and all to watch. So but
we don't have even Raj Javana was a great easy comfort watch, but we don't make those shows.
Man.
I was talking to somebody a year ago, and they said that all you needed was one big comedy show to open up the floodgates. Then they said that Government could have been that. If that show landed, that could have been the show that made people give a shit about comedy. At the platforms. So you just hope that there's one of those massive things that gets people to care about it.
It seems but I mean, I may be totally off the mark here. I've always thought that it's maybe because because the other platforms are so primarily comedy focused, like Instagram and YouTube. Mostly, you get all sorts of comedy there, which is why streaming platforms where people are not looking for comedy anymore is what sometimes I think about, but I don't
people
know
have
if that's
said that.
true.
Yeah.
I
But it's
don't know
also
if that's true
sad because
anymore.
when we were growing up, you could go to a movie or watch a show that makes you laugh.
Yeah.
But nowadays, The Bear is a comedy. Comedy has to be traumatic and somebody's
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
And
You're right, it has to be something plus comedy.
Yeah.
Something
Always
plus.
now. It's not just, you can't just write an out and out comedy.
Yeah.
People
But how much do you guys think about comedy on the big screen? Because it's really weird, like as we're talking about this, The Naked Gun is out in theatres. This is a big studio comedy in Hollywood. It has Liam Neeson's got a big star, it's supposed to be hilarious. And apparently that one film has the entire industry holding their hopes because it's just a pure play comedy. There's no horror come, there's nothing. And like that is the underdog. Because comedy is completely, comedy by itself is not allowed to be a genre anymore. And you think about what we have here, we have like absolute rubbish like Houseful and things like that, and nobody seems to be.
What do you think? I loved it.
Which one? 1, 2,
All
5A,
of-
5B,
all.
which one? Okay.
I like 5C.
I'm looking
coming
forward
out
to the next one always.
I mean, we've had good ones. I mean, Madgaon Express I really liked last year, but there are very few of them. So do you
Yeah.
guys ever think about like, even on the big screen, like where are the comedies gone?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I feel that comedy is a like low risk also for like these producers, because it doesn't take a lot of money to make a comedy versus like action and fantasy, all the like having Pakistan and spy as the antagonist, all of that that we keep on doing. So it's like Amir Khan keeps doing all like Lapata Lady, something like this. So, imagine how much profitable that was. Like it was made not much, and like the kind of box office it did. So even the producers who are like absolutely like married to numbers, maybe there's something like like if you are already like ready to spend like 600 crores. I spend like 6.5 crores, make a comedy, and like definitely you'll get the money back.
I remember Sumukhi said this to me last year. She was talking about like, if you could just give us 0.2% of the marketing budget. She said like, just give us literally like 1 day of the marketing budget of a massive show, and you see what we do. Because it's very, very sad.
I think somebody has to take the chance, and one comedy film has to work. It's just one of those things, right? That if one film is made for 10 crores and it makes 70 crores, suddenly everybody will want comedy, because that's what is happening with platforms right now. One crime show works, everybody wants a crime show. One police show works, everybody wants a police show. That's what is happening everywhere right now. In fact, I was asking one director who I was working with that, why are there not enough comedy films? Is it just it's not just about writing. Even if you look at the actors, everybody is aligning themselves to be this macho star. Nobody wants to play comedy anymore. And comedy essentially becomes about like a ensemble film. Like you can't be a one-man comedy, and a lot of people just want to be like, मैं hero हूँ, मुझे अपने abs दिखाना है, which is not, is the opposite of comedy. So she like right now the atmosphere is such that everybody is kind of realigning themselves to be like, we want to be, you have 8 packs, I'll have 12 in the next one. That's what
you should pitch one of those movies and sneak in a comedy.
Yeah.
They don't know it's a satire. Like it's just about an idiot who's just like. But what about acting? Because like there was a long period where like a lot of popular stand-up comedians became like hero's best friend and things like that. Is that something that excites you? I mean, you obviously had your Grand Luck by Chance debut back in the day. But is that something that excites you
out
guys?
of focus student number 2.
A little bit, I guess.
Is that something you'd want to do?
Acting actually, acting makes me very, very nervous. मतलब the thought of it only. So, but मैं बहुत ही ऐसे specific way में सोचा that I want to play like one, just 2 shots, 2 scenes character, but like who's very funny. Really like I think
You'd
I
steal
would
the
do-
film.
Yeah, I'll steal the film like like some character in Delhi Belly or something.
Yeah.
The problem
Yeah,
is those things exist, but the level of writing is crap. I mean, you look at Sumukhi, what they did, she's insanely talented, what they did with her and Royals. You're just reduced to this punchline, and so like.
So I think that's the thing, like in the last 7-8 years I must have got like 3 or 4 times scripts to be the funny person.
Yeah.
But their definition of funny person is that you are the punchline.
Exactly.
It's just that. It's always that you are the loud
Exactly.
slapstick person, or you're this over the top person, which is not the vibe of I think most urban comedians now, right?
Yeah.
You can't
Or
do that.
funny. Like you think that like they would trust you to bring the funny.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah, and it all there have been a couple of times where it has come like they've specifically asked for you and they want like this completely loud, एकदम crazy पागल टाइप का है, बट मैं बिल्कुल उसके opposite हूँ भाई. Then why do they specifically want this? Have they not seen?
Because after that, I think other comics also tried. I think Harsh Gujral did one on this Arjun Kapoor film.
Yeah.
I think they've all come. I think they just look
Abhish
at
has
you.
done it. Rohan's done it.
Abhish has
everyone,
done it in.
He did it in
Meri Pyari Bindu. Rohan did it in Baar Baar Dekho. Yeah. But yeah, I think they come to you as.
Who was in Junaid Khan's film recently?
Kullu.
Yeah.
I've not seen the film, but yeah.
But he at least had a role. He mattered in some way. So.
I think for some comedians it works maybe. I don't know. I have not had those ambitions also.
But I think V told me this, that like they're trying to tap into your audience, but your audience will not come to see you do something that they don't enjoy, just because like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's that thing of, I think most films now want to have one token popular internet person.
Yeah.
Like they'll have either an influencer. Like you see all these, like there's like Prajakta is in one, Viraj Gilani is in one.
Yeah.
There's somebody or the other. So they want to get one, just put you in there.
They basically want a vlogger for the premiere.
Basically. Reel हम तुम्हारे पेज पे डालेंगे. I think that's.
But just lastly, one thing that you guys would change about the stand-up scene, how it functions. I'll give two: stand-up and as well as sort of the film and screenwriting side of things. One thing you guys would change in terms of the way it functions today.
Ooh.
A constitution.
What did I ask?
Take it away.
I think you can phrase this answer for any question. That
Some
you ask.
laws. Some sections of the IPC.
Honest answer, but what to change about stand-up? I don't know.
Stand-up, I would love to see a festival like Melbourne and Edinburgh happen over here, so that we don't have to go there.
But what do you mean in terms of for Indian comics or to bring international artists or both?
Both. But like a festival which is not a big lineup show, because our festivals are all just like one massive lineup show, which is great for a one-off event, but it's not really a festival. Nobody is really like getting that freedom to do a new show, trying a new idea.
Yeah.
You have to be actually very like safe in those like big lineups. So that would be like, there was a little bit of that last year in Mumbai, where a lot of comics that we have enjoyed abroad, they came down. So it was just fantastic to see like Sam Campbell, who's like one of my favorites, who was just performing like 10 minutes away from my house. And I was like,
he's stuck in the same traffic you are.
in South Bombay. And I was like, to watch him, I had to go like halfway around the world. So I think that would, and last year there was there were a couple of festivals which tried to achieve that. And hopefully there will be more of that, so that a comedian can debut a new show which is absolutely random, which is only possible in that when you get that kind of a safe space festival.
But the cool international act thing, that seems to be, I mean, it's really increased over the last 2 years. They're getting the big international names, which feels relatively new. I mean, you used to have like Russell Peters back in the day, but now you have Kevin Hart and Anthony Jeselnik and stuff. So that seems to be like a cool.
That's happening, yeah.
I think they all just want to holiday in India.
Really?
Most of them. I think they're like, we want to go to Goa, so let's do a show.
Some of them get screwed over, and there's nothing Jimmy Carr could say on stage, and I'm a big fan of him, that's funnier than the fact that he performed in Mulund. Like nothing. Like I don't know how.
And his show was late because a school function overran.
I was standing outside that show for an hour.
Hey, Jimmy Carr.
I think one thing which we've discussed before is maybe more live show audiences who come for comedy and not for comedians. I think India, you mentioned star culture, that is still a thing. Like I think people specifically go to watch a comic. They will not be like I think how a lot of clubs, the Comedy Store and the Cellars, like we'll just walk in and it'll be good comedy. It's a good comedy club. So I think more of that maybe.
And around I remember watching a lot of your early shows. Around when you started, I feel like a lot more people came for comedy.
Yes.
They came for the art.
When the Comedy Store opened and when Canvas Laugh Store used to be there, people would just walk, because none of us were known faces that time. They would be like, oh, this stand-up comedy happening. It'll be a good show. Let's just go and watch. I think that has kind of vanished a lot. Like you need people on the faces. Even when we do new material nights, it's become a little challenging, because unless we put our faces, you don't sell tickets. And the idea of trying new material is that you don't want your core audience, because they already like you. They will mostly laugh at even a weaker joke. So you want like people to show up not expecting anybody known, and then you go and perform to somebody else's audiences. So that's very difficult, because I think in India it's still people are watching comedians and not comedy.
Yeah.
So maybe that.
But do you feel like the overall comedy audience has, and there seems to be very sort of, you know, a lot of people want to watch live comedy and their favorite comedians. Do you feel like it's plateaued at all? Is there like is there a thing of like how do you increase that pie, or it is going to happen naturally over time?
I think it's happening a lot, but from Delhi comedians. like,
What?
I think that they're selling. I think plateau. I'm saying
Yeah,
Delhi
it
comedians
was
are like a lot of comedians selling
There-
really well.
Yeah. There's
Are there more people going to comedy for the first time, I guess? Is that
Yeah,
is that
yeah,
right?
For sure.
Yeah, for
Every
sure.
time a new comic breaks out, there's definitely a new bunch of audience
Nice.
that comes in.
Yeah.
For sure. That definitely helps, and it's changing. The audience also keeps changing. The audience that we see right now is very different from what we saw probably 5 years ago at a
Yeah.
comedy show.
Nice.
Like there's even in terms of age, like I'm seeing a much more older people in the
Yeah.
audience now, and I didn't see that before. So it's changing for sure, but
Yeah.
they're coming for specific faces.
I get a lot of young, like 18, 20-year-olds who bring their parents to the show now.
Exactly.
I get a lot of that. Then there's also, I think a lot of new comedy. Like if I ask at a show, every show, how many of you are watching stand-up for the first time? At least I would say 30% audience is still watching live stand-up for the first time
Nice.
in India. Minimum, for sure. So audiences are expanding. I don't think it's plateaued. And I was saying Delhi comedy because I think a lot of them have started doing, like, I think when I look at an India tour, my India tour would be like 12 cities at max, if I'm really stretching it. But like if I look at a lot of them, they're doing like 40 cities in India. They're going to like 4 cities in Gujarat and 6 cities in UP and this and that. So they're able to tap into that market,
Yeah, like
which
Harsh
is great.
Gujral would put up a show in Kanpur and all. Like I'm from UP, but even I wouldn't even think of
Yeah.
like putting up these
Yeah.
cities.
So I think
Which is
audience
great,
are
the idea
expanding.
that there are more places to expand that.
Yeah, for sure. And for, what was the
Yeah.
second part of it? You said?
No,
Yeah,
like
there
even the
were-
world of sort of screenwriting and pitching shows and
Screenwriting,
things,
I
is
don't
that
know.
anything you'd want to change that?
I think change. I guess. I think currently, because based on the conversations we're having currently online, also there's like this whole controversy going on right now. So
Which
I
one?
guess
There's 9 of them. You have to specify.
अभी तो कविराज वाली controversy चल रही है. So I mean, उसमें I guess not change, but I guess even we can sit and think about what we're saying on stage and the power it holds over the audience that's listening to what you're saying, and the impact it has it makes on an audience, like what it sort of allows in audiences' minds, that it's like I've said something and the audience may think that, oh, okay, then even I can say something that this person has said as a joke, I can go and say it in the street outside.
So
Yeah.
is that more about like the responsibility the jokes have, or is it like people trying to be edgy for the sake of it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
in a sense, yeah, like your especially happens with the dark and edgy comedy, where afterwards you say like it was just a joke, which is great. It was just a joke, but then it was a repercussion with your just a joke. There was a repercussion to it, so you acknowledge that okay, I made just a joke, but this happened because of it, and I can maybe take cognizance of that and be like, okay, what am I saying? Why am I saying it? And what impact is it having on an audience?
When I see comics like that, I always think of like a lot of the international comics who do this, the dark, edgy, whatever you call it, and the amount of craft that goes into them dancing around that line.
Yes.
And artistry, and you can't just replicate that by just going for something edgy.
Yeah, the craft, the context, the audience watching, them knowing that okay, this is just this person's character and he's making that joke. That's what.
Yeah, I think that's not there yet in India.
Yeah, it's not. I was just discussing this with another comic that we confuse. We try to say that it's a joke, but you've never established that you have a character that makes these jokes. You go on stage as yourself. You've established completely your personality that, hey, I am a truth sayer, I'm saying truths about my life, and now suddenly you said this absolutely ridiculous, abhorrent thing, and you're like, oh, that was just a joke.
And then you're sleeping at night because you're telling yourself, yeah, I know it was a joke.
Yeah.
But usse pehle everything you said seemed like the truth.
Yeah.
Just an exaggerated,
Yeah.
funny version of the truth.
Like when you watch Anthony Jeselnik, you
Yeah.
know that
Yeah,
he
he's good
has
at
dark
saying,
jokes and they're very well crafted. There's a
Yeah.
way of doing it. I think that's kind of missing right now.
He
in a lot
always
of
is very aware of the impact it's having on the audience, and he's always playing with that.
Yeah, he's playing and he addresses it a
Yeah.
lot of times.
Yeah,
So-
and it's so clearly a character because how he's performing on stage is very different from how he speaks otherwise in an interview or right. He speaks differently. But you will see this person talking the same way on stage as they do everywhere else, and you're like, okay, but ये तो हर जगह ऐसे ही behave कर रहा है.
Yeah.
So then, what is the joke here? It seems like this is this person.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Last word to you. Anything you'd change in the fiction space of all the 50 things you're pitching?
I think after 3 rejections, they should say yes. You must be having some producers watch your show, no?
Potentially,
green
you want
light,
to pitch anything here? Go for it.
Yes, I can. Always others will also.
I think generally, I think comedians will make good writers. Generally, I think given more opportunities, not just talking on our behalf, but I think comedians can make good.
They're natural storytellers.
Natural storytellers. I
Also,
think
I
the
think,
comedy timing is there.
Plus dialogues, I think like
Dialogues
where
at least,
comedians
yeah.
can really do very
Yeah.
well. That's like what they are doing all the time, and
Yeah.
so situational jokes and all can.
But are you ever slotted? Do you ever feel like, suppose I want to write something that's not pure play comedy, but you're seen as just a funny person?
Yeah, I think at least because I've not made anything of my own so far, I've only done commission projects. So I've noticed that if there was a slightly serious film that I was pitching, there were not as many takers. But the minute I started pitching this new show, which is comedy, they're like, "Oh, we expect this from you." So this is, I think maybe they associate with that. But I think maybe that's a thing until you make your first project or something. Maybe then they'll be open to it. But I think they're expecting
I think
comedy.
one
from
more
comedians.
thing that could be changed in like writing is that producers have to disclose how much they paid the writer, and all the 20 installments that they thrust on the writer. I think that should be public knowledge.
When I first found out the installment system of how screenwriters
Oh my
work,
God.
it's insane, especially for the big screen and stuff.
Yes.
Your payment is pegged to the actor's dubbing, which has nothing to do with you.
What the hell?
You're not paid for
I can't
writing.
believe
Project
it.
is the final edit is ready.
Yeah.
And the marketing
Yeah.
starts. Just things like
So
that.
like
It's
you
insane.
get basically like 30%, maybe 20% for writing the whole film, and the remaining is not in your hands at all.
And if it doesn't get made, it'll often get shelved. You don't get the money.
And if you are mentioning how much the writer is getting, you also mention how much the a makeup artist is getting, and everybody is getting, and then let audience watch your slapstick comedy.
Those fields are a lot more lucrative.
Yes,
like
I
you find
know,
out how
I
much,
know,
how many zeros are there.
I know. I want to see that list with writer at the bottom, where he belongs.
We will manifest more transparency. But thank you to all of you. Thank you for the perspective, the wisdom, and we hope for more freedom. I guess that's the hope. Less fear, and hope the horror, comedy, fantasy, action gets greenlit.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, gets green.
Thank you, guys.
On screen.
Before we go, a quick word on Mubi, your one-stop shop for meaningful cinema from around the globe. You can try Mubi for free for 30 days by visiting mubi.com/thestreamingshow2025.
This week, I recommend you check out Mussolini, Son of the Century. Joe Wright's blistering 8-episode series is an adaptation of Antonio Scurati's novel, tracing the birth of fascism in Italy and the rise to power of Benito Mussolini, the dictator who brought democracy to its knees and plunged his country into a bloody war. The Atonement and Darkest Art filmmaker brings a deeply unsettling chapter of history alive with stunning style, plunging us into the midst of the systematic, violent undoing of an entire nation. Luca Marinelli brings a malicious charm to his spectacular performance as Mussolini, who frequently breaks the fourth wall, House of Cards style, in an attempt to manipulate and radicalize us, the audience. In the first episode, he even whispers to the audience, "Follow me, you love me too, I'll make you a fascist." Mussolini's Son of the Century, which premiered at the Venice Film Festival, is a timely, harrowing reminder of the impacts of a vile misuse of power. You can watch the series exclusively on Mubi. A new episode drops every Wednesday.